okay, from the standpoint that you can't turn on any film. And I don't care what the score was. Those kids that they play hard, and they play until there's no time left on the clock. And I have a little bit of a history. One of the guys that's a long time was a former head coach there, is a guy that I know, and he actually coached the current head coach. And I told him, I said, you keep doing the things you're doing, and you're going to build a heck of a good program. A couple of years ago, they were 10-2, and I was not surprised at all to see how they tried to compete and try to play tonight. So next week is an open date week, and it'll be an opportunity for our kids to, in some respects, get a little bit healthy. You know, we're going to have the players get their day off tomorrow and have a very, very light day on Monday and watch the film, and then we'll have limited practices during the middle of the week and really try to get ourselves physically healthy for the final 7 weeks. It's nonstop. You know, it is going to be full bore ahead for those last 7 games. So tonight, I thought James played extremely well. He was very rarely was he under any kind of stress or pressure from a protection standpoint, and the runs and big explosive plays were good. Maurice Alexander did what we're starting to kind of, you know, realize how talented that he is, and he's one of those guys that can catch a 3-yard pass and turn it into 70-yard touchdown. So it was good to see him make plays.
Maurice, does he remind you of anybody?
Yeah, you know, I mean, the obvious connection, which clearly he's not at that level right now, is, you know, people here say T.Y. Hilton because T.Y. was kind of like that. We had some kids when I was at Miami, Roscoe Parrish and Santana Moss, and some guys that kind of played the same similar type of position. He's moving in that direction to make that immediate connection. Those guys played those roles for 3 and 4 years. He's only played it for 5 games, but you know, he's learning, he's getting better, and obviously he's an explosive playmaker, and you got to try to get him the ball.
Coach, we have a 2-part question for you. One, you talked about the loss of Furman, and then the second part of that question would be, it seemed like you guys played a little bit of 4-2-5. Talk about how.
Yeah, well, we've done that pretty much almost. I mean, our whole defensive package is predicated by what the other team. If they're in 4 wide receivers, you could see us in dime with 6 defensive backs in the game. If they're, you know, very few teams anymore play with a tight end. If they do, you know, you'll see a little bit more of a 3 linebacker defense, but most of the times it's 1 tight end and you know, and 3 wide receivers. So you'll see a lot of the 4-2-5 type of a concepts and rotating guys by down and distance. If it's a passing situation, you'll see a lot of T.J. Johnson and some of those guys. If it's a more of a rundown situation, you may see more guys like Josh Powell, bigger guys that maybe can play the run a little bit better. And then your other questions, Furman. Yeah, you know, it's that was disappointing in practice. I mean, because he's off to a great start. Talked to him. I mean, he got on the phone. He literally was out of surgery less than 30 minutes, and he's on the phone. Coach, I'll be back. I'll be faster. I'll be bigger, stronger. You know, tell my teammates I love them. You know, so it was sad to lose him, you know, for this year. But I mean, he's a playmaker. I mean, you saw what he was capable of doing in the Miami game. He gets 2 sacks and forces a fumble and a bunch of quarterback pressures. I mean, that's something that, you know, over this next open date week, we got to figure out, you know, exactly what adjustments, if any, that we have to make to try to compensate for him not being there.
With Furman, do you expect him back next year? And also, what toll does that take on a team emotionally? The guy's a senior.
Yeah, well, he's a redshirt senior. I mean, a redshirt junior. I mean, he actually does, because he got hurt in 4 games, he could redshirt. And, you know, the new rule where it says that you can play for 4 games and actually come back, a lot of it's going to depend, obviously, you know, the recovery from the surgery. And the surgeons, the orthopedic surgeons, told Kevin O'Neill, the trainer, that it couldn't have gone better, that it was fast in and out, perfect fit. And so now a lot of it will be up to him. A lot of it will be up to his decision as to whether or not, you know, do I want to try to apply and see where I might go in the draft, you know, his opportunities to maybe play on the next level. Does he want to come back academically? You know, does he, you know, where is he? He's on track. He was on track to graduate in December, which, you know, now it puts the situation, now you got to kind of try to think about, okay, could he get into grad school and those kinds of things. So there's a lot of things that have to be discussed, and right now it's not, you know, one of the main things that we're worried about.
Coach, Conference USA slate's coming up, and you
Yep.
guys have improved a lot, you know, since last year. You know, last year, you know, you guys were doing the basic math, I think, and now you guys are doing algebra. So
Sure.
how do you feel about the Conference USA?
I'm going to tell you what, just look at the scores. I mean, there's some I mean, North Texas State goes to Fayetteville and beats Arkansas, and I mean, someone just told me that Middle Tennessee beat FAU tonight. I mean, there's been some teams. I don't know what the final score was, but I think Louisiana Tech played somebody really, really close. I don't remember who it was, but I mean, there's been some teams in Conference USA that have had some success, and I thought that last year. I thought after playing against everybody for the first time, you know, that it was significantly more talented and there's a lot more depth and a lot more explosive players than people give it credit for.
Do you like where this bye is coming for you?
Yeah, it comes at a good time. I mean, if you had a perfect time, you know, Walter, you'd love it to be like weeks 5, 6, and 7, kind of in the middle of the season, because it's a grind on the kids. I mean, they go 4 weeks of training camp and then play 4 or 5 games. It really does. It comes at a good time.
Coach, what do you think about Devontae Price? He's had a lot of efficient games lately. Today was another one.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you watched us last year, I mean, we tried to play as many as 3 and, you know, 4 running backs last year to keep guys fresh. And that's kind of what we've been doing this entire season. I mean, whether it's Sean Darius and whether it's Napoleon tonight, you know, Devontae got, you know, a significant amount of opportunities to play, and he performed very well. And Sean Peterson came in, and he ran powerful and strong. He's only had 10 days of practice. So, you know, it was kind of get your feet wet tonight for him.
Coach, I know you talked already about James Morgan a little bit, but you know,
Yeah.
tying program record for touchdowns in a single game.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about his kind of transformation as he's kind of getting a little more familiar with the program.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I think he's becoming a lot more familiar, not only with the offense, but with his teammates. I mean, you know, just little bitty tiny body language things for a quarterback that lets you know, hey, this guy is almost in and out of a break, so you can anticipate the throw instead of waiting on the throw until the guy actually gets out of the break. That's a world of difference for a quarterback and for the receivers. Once he gets, you know, locked in with whether it's CJ or any of those guys that are out there, I mean, he's coming along. He's playing very good. And you guys have watched him. I mean, there's not very many things that he can't throw. I mean, this kid's got a great arm. I mean, he can throw deep. He can throw the touch throws underneath, the short throws, and you know, we're very, very fortunate to have him.
Coach, one of the things you said to us last week versus Miami was that you can't really learn a lot about your team when you win 70 to 0. And
Right.
Your largest margin of victory as a head coach was 55 points. You did that twice in 1999. How do you pull certain things out of a game like this when you're playing
Yeah.
against
Well, you look for the little things. You look for like finishing blocks, and you look for fundamentals and techniques. Are they just kind of getting by because maybe they might be slightly a little bit better player? Are they doing the things that regardless of who the opponent was, if it was Miami again this week, would that have been more successful? Would it have been better? And the one thing I told our kids, I said, you may not like this or not, but I refuse to allow you to underachieve. I mean, we're not going to never hold guys to the highest expectations. We're not going to say that any of these guys are first-round draft choices, but my expectations are you better play up to your level. The best that you can play, that's all we ever ask you to do. And we'll grade the film and see if they did that.
Coach, you said after last week's game that you learned more about playing against an opponent like Miami versus an opponent like Arkansas Pine Bluff, where you just run up the score. So what do you take away from a game like today?
No, you take away, like I just got through answering the question, you take away, you know, execution, assignments, the ability to use their fundamentals and techniques, because every week we challenge these kids. We tell them, here's some things that you need to get better at on an individual basis and as a collective, as an offensive unit or as an offensive line. You know, here's what you need to get better at, and we'll watch the film and see if they did. Okay, thank you guys.